Yo, we're in Vegas. We just finished an intensive coaching and I decided to bring Sam here, give you guys some world-class dating advice and also to share his experience.
Let's go.
So first question, how did you get into this, Sam?
So when I was 19 years old, I broke up with my first proper girlfriend. I went to school with her, then we went to the same university to stay together. And then 3 months into university, I found out she'd been sleeping with her hall rep, a rep, obviously the party guy, the guy that organizes all the parties and brings everyone. And so for 3 months of our relationship, I just didn't know that was happening. So partly, you guys all know the pain. You know the pain at that age where the self-doubt and the pain and the frustration and the anger and all of the stuff you experience when you're a young, emotionally immature guy. But on top of that, just the raw fascination of how had we been in a relationship for 3 months and I didn't know anything about it. It kind of just switched me. I just was like, what the hell is going on here? And so from that point, I was just like, what's going on? How does this work? How did that happen? What did I do wrong? Why did I not notice something sooner? And so I had all of these incredible mind-opening thoughts of pain, but also of just curiosity. And at the same time, I was studying history of art, and it wasn't good. I wasn't learning anything. I was regressing. I was becoming less smart. And I was like, why am I spending all my time on this university degree that's going to do nothing for my life, when what I'm really interested in is why my relationship's just broken up and how I can get better and how I can never find myself in this position again. So I had a number of things come, like meditations and spiritual stuff, and also finding some YouTubers as well. Early on. And I was just like, what am I doing? I remember Alan Watts, the spiritual teacher, he just said the craziest thing is working all day on something we don't like, to make money we don't need, to buy things that we don't want, to impress people we don't like. And I was just like, wow, that's really what we're doing. And then he said, what we should be doing is where if you take a graph and you say on this axis is what you're good at and on this axis is what you love, you should find the thing that intersects with what you're good at and what you love. And I've always been good with people. I've always been good at reading emotions and socially, and I loved this. I loved going out and meeting girls. So I got a job working with students with learning difficulties at the university. So I dropped out of the course, stayed in the university, and just helped kids with autism spectrum disorders to make friends. And I would sit with them in lectures and dinners and go to parties with them and basically just take notes on their behavior. And then I started writing syllabus for these guys. So that's how I got into teaching at the age of 19, 20 years old. When I was 21, I reached out to Kezia Noble and I got training with her. I did some shadowed some other coaches, got some training and worked with her for a year or two. So that's how I started.
Yeah, that's interesting. It must have been really tough in that period. Obviously, it was a breaking point for you. And I had a similar situation like that as well. We were talking about it in the boot camp a couple of weeks ago. And one of the students said he had that similar situation. So at the time is when it's happening, you're like, man, this is this is the worst time of my life. But actually that can be an amazing thing after it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you probably wouldn't be here right now. You probably wouldn't have affected so many guys that you did.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the last 10 years.
When you're a young guy, pain is one of the best things for you. It's complicated because there's it's like an elastic band. If you have a certain amount of stretch, you can tolerate it and it's good for you. But if you stretch it past that point, it can be really bad.
Yeah.
But for me, the sheer depression, suffering, pain, self-doubt, all of that is what drove me to make what is a big decision, which is where you say, basically you say f*** the world. You go into your f*** the world mode and you say, I don't care about my degree, I don't care about any of this, I don't care about these people, I'm going to do what I want to do. It's very rare that someone does that when they've had an easy time, right?
100%.
It often takes a great deal of pain to get you past the point of breaking out of some structure that isn't serving you.
Oh, for sure, man. And a lot of guys, they want the easy way to improve, to get better. But there is, I love this saying in self-development: there is no lift to success. You got to take the stairs. Right?
There's no elevator to success.
There's no elevator to
You gotta take
success.
the steps.
Right? Is that the saying?
I don't know. I never heard it before, bro. I thought you just forgot it as well.
I just made up.
The saying in self-development.
I love the saying that I'm just gonna make up right now.
Bro, you heard it here first. Copyright that immediately.
Yeah, well, that's the reason you're amazing coach, the guy that organized this training, the one we did in Vegas, because we never met before this trip, and he was like, Sam's an amazing coach. He's amazing at approaching. He's an amazing coach. He's professional, and that's the reason. He was like, we got to have Sam on this training. So, you got to embrace that pain. If you're having pain right now, if you're watching this video and it's tough for you, then guess what? You can be the person that, not only uses the pain to improve, to become successful, but in a few years' time, just like Sam's doing right now, you can see it as a positive, right? Just like I'm doing as well. You can actually see that as like, oh, if that didn't happen to me, I probably wouldn't have been as good as I am now. And we're going to go into this later on, but Sam's probably met, more attractive women than that one, one that, right?
Just on that point, I would just add, there's another saying that I love from self-development that says, tragedy plus time equals comedy, right? Like the biggest tragedies of your life, with enough time passes, you can look back and laugh at them, The stupidest mistakes you made at the time, you were humiliated, you were crying, all of these things, given time, they turn into comedy. So right now you might be feeling in the grips of trauma or tragedy or suffering, but with enough time you'll look back and laugh at it. And I think, just quickly, that's like the black pill. A lot of the black pill is just young guys, right? A lot of these guys, and they've never had experience with women. They're just young. They don't know what they're doing. They're like you and me were when we were 19, right? And give them time, when they're 29, when they're 30, they're probably going to be in a completely different position. They're probably not going to be whining on YouTube. They're probably not going to be making these videos saying, give up everyone who isn't exceptionally physically attractive. It's just like part of immaturity is just seeing one side of the story and not being able to put your problems in perspective.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to take us to the next question.
Yeah.
What was your journey like in these last 10 years? Well, for most of it, until you became a coach.
Yeah.
Because obviously, guys look at you and be like, okay, well, he's a coach now.
Yeah.
He's approaching on you got your YouTube channel doing amazing approaches. But how did you get to that level where, you became a coach and good with women?
For sure. So my journey to becoming a coach was a little different. Obviously, I was 19 when that happened, and I was 19 or 20 when I got my first job teaching. It wasn't coaching in this capacity. I was working under a cognitive behavioral therapist with these kids at university. But yeah, essentially, I started coaching early because I knew, basically, as soon as I found these guys on YouTube that were teaching guys how to be better, and as soon as I realized how passionate I was about becoming better myself, becoming more powerful, becoming a better communicator, becoming attractive to women, like literally that. I was not attractive to women, and then I was. That's the transition that was made. Call it what you like. You can argue till the cows come home. But the fact is, I'm telling you, when I was 16, 17, 18, I would step back. If we're in a group of girls, I'd be like, oh no, Nav's cooler than me. I would step back and let everybody else talk to the girls, and I would just sit on the fringes because I didn't believe I was attractive to women. I had no experience that said that I was. I didn't think I had any charisma. I didn't think I had any game, let's say, any chat. And then I learnt it. And the way that I learnt it was I knew that I'm naturally have tendencies to be lazy, right? If you tell me, oh, you can do this thing and it's going to be great, I'm probably not going to do it. I have to force myself to do stuff. So I said, if I become a teacher, that's my way of forcing myself. If I drop out of university, I have no option. So I burned my bridges and just started working a job at the age of 19 where I could help people, and I earned a little bit of money. And so, yeah, my journey was like, I became a coach first, and then said, well, now you're working with kids. Now you've got to figure this out. And so I took my own advice that I give now, which is that I didn't do it alone. I reached out and found a community in Nottingham, UK, and I found two guys, Jordan and Sam. Jordan's been on the channel, Sam hasn't. And we went out every day. I didn't have any uni to go to. Every single day of the week,
You went out.
I was going out and I was talking to locals. And I lived on a university campus with beautiful university girls everywhere. I never approached any of them, right? I went into town and approached the locals, who were probably not as attractive, but also there was no risk, right? It was like a freebie for me. And so I would go out and train and practice with people, locals in the town. And then when I would go to parties at the university, the first thing I noticed is I was way better in social situations. I could go to a party and meet people and I was fine. So just quickly on that, maybe it's a tangent, but a lot of guys start and 2-3 months, they say, you know, I'm still not getting numbers, I'm still not getting dates, you know, they're flaking, this and that. The greatest delayed return is on the cold approach. So when you start cold approaching, your communication with guys gets better. Your communication with your dad, with your mum, with your sister gets better. Your ability to hold yourself at a house party, at a social event, at a club, at a bar, drastically improves. The final domino that falls is your ability to go out and talk to a woman in the daytime, right? That might take a few months before that starts going well. Why? Because it's the hardest, right? It's the hardest it's ever going to be. What's harder than seeing a beautiful girl walking, going about her day in a rush, got a boyfriend, all of these thoughts come in, and you say, no, it's my job as a man to find out. This is all a fiction. I've got to go and tell her she looks good. You know that you want to be able to do that. I knew that I wanted to be able to do that. So a lot of guys, they almost miss the real progress, right? It's like you go to the gym and you want to get big. You're like, oh, I'm still not big after 3 months. It's like, okay, yeah, but where's your head at? Your mental focus has probably improved. Your sleep's improved. Women are looking at you more. You know, you're more confident. You've got better posture. It's like, you can't expect to become all of this straight away with cold approach. Cold approach is the final domino that falls. All the other social situations improve faster than the cold approach itself, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. I remember I had a client, we were working together for a couple of months, and as you said, you're not going to get results instantly, right? And he was very frustrated. He was like, Nav, you know, I'm not getting the results I want. And I went to him, where were you 3 months ago?
Yeah.
Right? What were you doing? Were you getting numbers? Were you able to speak with girls, you know, in a charismatic way, in a confident way? He was like, no. And then the more he thought about it, the more he was like, yeah, you're right. Like, I can't believe how much I've progressed. But because we're in the moment and all you're thinking about is that beautiful girl, you know, in your bed or, you know, on a date or whatever, that's just your focus. And you actually forget about all the progress that you've made. And another personal development line I like is,
you make this one up.
Always choose delayed gratification, not instant gratification. It's kind of like
taking
nutrition.
The stairs instead of the elevator. Same idea.
Yeah, take the stairs, guys. If you're gonna go up.
There's no elevator.
Especially in these buildings in Vegas.
So,
they're like 28 floors or whatever.
Yeah, that's your cardio done.
Yeah.
We digress. Go on.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's great to hear that, you know, that you were constantly working on your game, and that's how you got better. Because a lot of guys, they might be thinking, all right, I'll just go out for a couple of weeks and they improve. But so how long did it take you?
What happened with this client? So you said you had a client and after 3 months he was like, I'm still not better.
Yeah.
So what did you tell him?
Yeah, so what I told him was, you've got to stick through the pain period.
Yeah.
Right? Because with each client, there's always a pain period. And I told him, listen, bro, look at this guy, which he knew as well, that I taught before. And I was like, look at this guy. How do you think he got to where he is now? Because he was getting results.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was in the same shoe as you are right now. Right? I was in the same shoe. And we had to overcome this pain period, right?
For
and
sure.
Couple months down the line, maybe it was like 3 or 4 months more, then you got the results, right? He never went, Nav, you were right, but I knew I was right in the moment.
Yeah.
So, and this happens, you know, as I was saying, this happens with everyone, not just in dating, but it's the same in the gym, like you were saying about the gym. It's the same in business.
Yeah.
Everything, you have that. There was actually this this video that explained it so well. and he was saying that everyone. So first you have that excitement, right, when you start. Then it goes boom down, and he had this graph. He was like, "This is the pain point, right? That's where everyone gives up." I'm actually going to ask Sam about one of the biggest reasons people give up as well. And then what happens is after that pain, which most people give up, then it comes back up.
Yeah.
And then that's when at that point, you're not going to give up. Like, I've never seen a client of mine go through that, and when they get to the good they're like, all right, now I'm going to give up.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't happen.
So the best way to frame that is like it's a test, right? So you say, like, at the start you get quick results because you got passion, enthusiasm, and then reality hits and it starts to get hard. It's same with business, as you said, same with gym, everything's like that. And then it's like, as long as you're thinking of giving up, it continues. But when you say, no, I'm going to get past this, whatever happens, I'm going to make it happen. It's like, it almost is like, oh, okay, we'll give up on the pain period now. And the pain period just gives up and gives you what you want.
Yeah.
It's like self-doubt that strangles so much early success, right?
100%.
And when you're not sure that you're going to get out of it, it will keep going on. But when you just say, I know I'm going to get out of this, I know that I'm going to be rewarded for my struggles, I know I've been working hard in the gym, at work, with my social skills, I know I've been working hard, and I know that hard work doesn't go unrewarded. It's always rewarded. So it's just a matter of time. I know it's going to happen, and I'm going to keep working until it happens. That's the mindset you have to have,
Yeah, I just remembered when I was in that point, I read the book Think and Grow Rich, and there's a chapter which talks about this guy digging for gold, digging the mine. And you read that book?
Yeah, it's a good.
And
book.
he's literally inches from the gold. He gives up because he doesn't know he's inches from the gold. And I was thinking to myself, what if that's me? And it was me. Because only a few months later, boom, I got a
10-10.
Yeah, 10-10, baby.
10-9-8.
10, 6, 5, 4.
That's
our boy Dan. He loves the the variations. Anyway, a couple months later, I started dating this catwalk model.
Yeah.
That I would have never thought I would be able to, to date. So if you're going through that pain period right now, just remember you could be inches from gold.
Yeah.
You just don't know where you are, right? And then the other part, which talks about, he says he sells the land to some other guy, and the other guy gets an engineer to look at the mine, and the engineer says, "Bro, you're few inches, keep digging, and you're there." Just like what I told my client, I was like, "You're not far away," and that's what Sam would do. That's what Sam would do with his clients. That's what, as a good coach, if you got a good coach mentoring you, then he would be like, "Bro, this is how far you are," right? I think that's actually really helpful when you're going through that pain period.
Yeah, that's true.
If someone turns around and be like, "Oh, you're actually not that far away."
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure. But you mentioned as well about, I think it's an important point that when you start, you might get better and better and better, but like you said, like, you don't see yourself getting better. When you go to the gym, you don't see yourself getting bigger each day that you go. But if you have the before photo from 3 months before and then 3 months after, you're like, oh wait, I did get bigger. The problem is, as men, is that we move the goalposts. So we say, I want to get better with women. I want to be more confident approaching. And then we actually get better and we get more confident. And then once we're better, we forget that we've improved and we say, no, confidence is there. And we get there, no, confidence is there. And we're just chasing like something and never realizing that we're improving. And so I think one of the most important things for early success, I think you maybe would ask this question, but early on when you're starting, is little wins, right? It's being able to see your little wins, right? So a lot of guys, they say, well, until I'm dating my dream girl, I've lost, I'm a failure. It's like, no, getting out of the house is a win if you didn't do that before. If you didn't leave the house to go and talk to women, and now you left the house, you've won, right? If you make eye contact with someone, you've won twice, right? If you wave at someone or smile at someone, hello, you've won 3 times. If you talk to someone, you're killing it. If you get a number, your mind should be blown. Like,
if you get a number, just go home.
You're
just
done.
Be like, that's it.
Yeah.
Just retire from.
Yeah. Well, it sounds silly, right? Like, but the little wins, man, the little wins are so important. And if you can't see your little successes, you're never going to be able to see the big ones either, because the big ones are made up from those little successes. So that's one thing that I knew early on, is like I just knew that it's part of being successful in anything is not being the person that's like, yeah, you know, I got a few numbers, but maybe they weren't the best. I don't know. I don't really know. And I occasionally have clients that are like this now, and I just beat it out of them. I'm like, bro, get over yourself. Like, shut the up.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're literally destroying your own progress in real time. You've
Yeah.
won, and it's clear that you've won. Like, appreciate it, enjoy it, like pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, I actually did a video with Richard, and I remember him saying the guys that give up are the ones that say stuff like, oh yeah, she gave me her number, but she was just being polite. Or yeah, you know, I got a few numbers, but no one's going to text me back. And they're always looking at the negative.
Always, man.
Part.
And it's not their fault. Like, it's just a habit. If you spend, any of you guys watching, if you spend a month around 3 accidentally negative people, they're not bad people. They're just in the habit of complaining and criticizing. After a month, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to be more like them.
Yeah.
Right? So much this is environmental. You know, I had a client recently in Germany. He was in London. He's moved to Germany. We did the coaching in London. And he's German. So he was not enthusiastic. He did amazing stuff. He was dating women every week. He had an amazing dating life by the end of it. But I remember us leaving and it being like, I was like, bro, you've smashed all your goals. You're doing amazingly. He's like, yeah, I'm pretty happy. But, you know, there's still work to do. And I was like, can we enjoy this? And he went to Germany and he called me last week. We got on the phone last week and he was like, bro, I see it now. Like, I haven't done any approach in the last like 3 or 4 weeks because I've been starting my business and moving house. And I remember now how much progress I made. Like, it almost took like another 6 months for him to be able to look back and say, oh, yeah, I made it back.
Yeah.
Like, I did amazing back then. And I said, man, well, it's just momentum. You've got the muscle memory, just like the gym. You take a month off. It happens to all of us. We're going to get knocked down. We're going to have other things come in and steal our time. But you've got the muscle memory. So all you need to do is get out there. And I say it's 5 solid days to get your momentum back. Right? In the gym, it might be 3 months before you've got the habit. But once you've got the habit, you break off for 6 months. 5 days of solid gym sessions and you're 100% back in the flow. And the cold approach is the same. Because I remember in the early days, I would stop for a month for whatever reason, right? I had to travel, I had to look after someone. And I remember I'd come back and I'd do like 3 solid days and be like, oh man, this is going to take forever. It's like, no, you're right next to the gold. You're inches away from the gold. 5 days, if you don't put in 5 days of solid time and focus on this, then you don't have anything to say. If you do 5 solid days and you still tell me you don't have momentum, you're not in the flow, it's not going great, then, I mean, that's not going to happen. If it does happen, then I'll coach you for free, because I've never seen it happen when guys do 5 solid sessions, go out. It never happens that they don't have momentum and flow by that time.
That usually happens in the week training, you know, like the residential, where they turn up and they're very rusty, they haven't done it. Maybe they just finished the relationship, and first few days is tough, and then they start to get the momentum, and towards the middle of the week, they're back. They're back into it. Like the guys that have done it in the past. You know, and then they stop because of a relationship.
100%, man. Yeah, 100%.
All right, so that brings us to the next question. What's the biggest reason guys give up? We kind of touched that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just going to reiterate because it's so important. The biggest reason that guys give up early on is that they're not able to see that the small steps forward as wins, right? Like, I use the analogy of, like, if you're going to try and climb Mount Everest, the first thing that people would do is stand at the bottom, look at the top and say, look how far up, how am I ever going to get up there? But the way that you do it is say, okay, I'm just going to take 1 step, now another, now another, now another, now another, and you keep putting in a tiny step more, and then you end up on top of the mountain. So the biggest reason guys give up is because they're actually succeeding, they're just unable to recognize their own success, right? They did an approach and they didn't do one before. That's a huge success, not a small one, that's a big success. They had 10 seconds longer in the interaction. Is that a win? Absolutely, it's a win, right? If you're not able to treat yourself with the same caring and the same respect that you would treat one of your close friends, then you're your own worst enemy. Why would you bully yourself and no one else? You have to be able to support yourself. You have to be able to look at your life and say, where am I winning? Where am I actually able to put a tick next to that thing and say, I'm on the right path, I'm doing good? And I see guys give up because they're unable to see that they're making progress. They just don't accept it. So after a while, it's like, why would I keep doing something if I'm not getting anywhere? It's like maybe you are getting somewhere, you haven't noticed it because you don't have the before picture from the gym, right? You're just looking at your body every day and not seeing any improvements. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. And what would you say is the rule for success in dating? So what, if someone's starting right now, what should they be hitting? Obviously, one is making sure that they know they're progressing, so they see the progression.
Yeah.
But what are the other rules that they've got to be doing?
Well, I think they have to have an exciting goal at the end of it, right? Like, I mean, I notice it a lot for me. As I said, I went through such a level of pain and suffering and depression that it was easy for me to just be like, wait, look at the light at the end of the tunnel. And I was immature, right? I put my screensaver on my laptop as Hugh Hefner surrounded by all the Playboy bunnies. So I had this idea that I wanted to be this like pimp gangster with like all the women in the world around me, Dan Bilzerian, Hugh Hefner type thing. And that was childish, but that got me off the mark, right? That's not what I want now.
Yeah.
But I needed it back then. I needed an exciting goal, right? And I think at the start, if you're just like, yeah, I'm going to give this thing a go, see how it goes, it's never going to happen, man. You can't achieve greatness if it's just like, yeah, I'll give it a go. You have to be absolutely desperate to achieve it and certain that you will. And you have to milk that every day and remind yourself of your certainty. And every time the doubts come up, you have to remind yourself that with persistence, with time, with endurance, you're going to make it. It's not to be taken lightly. If people think this is just, oh, you just fall into it and end up good with women or good at communicating, it's not that way. Right? Charisma, that level of charisma, if you weren't blessed with it from birth or blessed with a mother who instilled it in you or a father who instilled it in you, it has to be a burning desire. And if it's not, there are ways to make it one. And the way that you make it a burning desire is you visualize clearly a future that is exciting to you. If you haven't done that, then do it now. Like, oh, I don't have that future vision, so make it, right? What would if you could find anything beautiful and interesting in the future, what would you put there? Like, what could you create in your mind that makes you excited? And then you can say, well, yeah, I'd give everything to have that. And then you give everything to have it. You just apply yourself.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised what you can achieve.
Yes.
Just when I think about my goals, sometimes it surprises me that the kind of stuff I achieve.
For sure.
But it's really important, as Sam said, have the reasons why. I remember I was talking to my business coach and he was like, nah, first thing you got to do, write the reasons why. And the more, the better. Yeah. And I didn't really do that in dating just because similar situation with Sam. I was coming from such a pain point that just pushed me towards getting better. But if I went back in time, I would do the reasons why, because that would just then when you think back to the reasons, the days when it's hard work, when it's raining, when no one's out and it's just you, those days you're going to be out there and putting in the work. Because when you think about the reasons, you're like, if I don't do this, then this is my life. Right? I'm going to be stuck with a girl or with no girls. Right? Compared to if you keep doing what you need to do, you're going to have abundance. Right? And yes, it's hard. It's very hard, but the rewards are 100 times worth the hard work that you put in.
For sure. And just to say, you said you would go back and do the whys. I didn't need to do the whys at that time because they were so obvious to me. Right? I had Hugh Hefner in my background. That was my why. I had Dan Bilzerian watching his videos. That was my why. I had like the books, all the books that I read every one of them, like The Red Queen, Sperm Wars, The Game, Zan Perry, The Alabaster Girl by Zan, which is still the best book I've read on any of this. Rational Male, all of this stuff I was reading, like every single one. And so for me, I didn't need to write down the whys because
had the whys.
It was all here. It was all clear in my mind. But for business, you're right. Like if it's the same thing. It's like if you don't have that obvious, like, no, I'm gonna get this, and it's vital that I get it. Then you need to create that vitality, and you have to be imaginative to do that. You have to picture it in your mind. Do you want the family and the beautiful house and a beautiful family outside and kids running around and friends coming over and cook them a barbecue
Yeah.
and take the family on holiday? Or do you want to be the single bachelor traveling the world? Every week you're flying to a different place, meeting women that you make a lasting impression on and maybe never see again, and living this, as Zam puts it, the gypsy pirate lifestyle, right? Whatever it is for you, and it might change. It's like, it's your North Star. It's what you're aiming for right now. It has to be clear. It has to be exciting. It has to be enough to get your hands out your pants.
All right. Next question. What's the funniest approach you've ever done?
I think the funniest like opening line, or the most bizarre opening line I said was, "Hey, I want to put a baby in you."
That's so good, bro.
He loves it. And it's because it was when I was young as well. It's when I was just starting, and I didn't feel cool or like, you know, I didn't feel like the man when I said it. But I just went for it. I went with full conviction, and I went to a woman. She was about 36. I was like 20, 21. And I just said, "Hey, I want to put a baby in you." And I was expecting, I was trying to get rejected that day. Right? We were doing an exercise where we try and mess it up to immunize ourselves from rejection so it didn't feel painful. And she just looked at me and she was like, "And how would you do that?" And bro, it blew my mind, right? And it blew my mind, not because I thought I'm getting the older woman tonight. I'm getting some of that brisket steak tonight. It wasn't that. It was that I realized in that moment, right? The moment I said that, what I realized was that the way that I saw myself was not the same as the way she saw me. I thought I'm a kind of awkward, immature, 19-year-old lost kid, and she looked at me like a sexy young man, right? Sexy young man.
100%, bro.
And so there was a mind where the perception of others is different to your perception, right? And people who are delusional or arrogant have it the other way around. They think they're the best, and everyone else looks at them like, "Nah, man, you're an idiot." This was the other way around. I was like, I'm not the way I think I am, and I'm not the way she thinks I am. I'm not the way anyone thinks I am. We're all just like manifesting ourselves throughout the day. And sometimes you say something funny, and sometimes you say something stupid, and sometimes you feel good, and sometimes you feel bad. And it doesn't mean anything about you. It's not your identity. You're not any one of those things. You're just like whatever shows up, right? The Eminem line, "I am whatever you say I am." It's like, no one knows what we are. So for me, that was maybe I'm not explaining it well, but for me, it was a really big moment, because I just knew in that moment, it was so obvious to me that our perception of ourselves is not the reality, and their perception of us is not the reality. We can be whatever we want to be. We can act however we want to act. We can pick up a new accent, a new language, a new way of being. If we're awkward, we can become physical.
Physical escalation, baby.
if we're sort of nerdy and weird, we can become likable and fun to be around. All of that is within our possibilities. So that was the best approach. And then funny one. I was like, well, that open is clearly amazing. That was one of the first interactions that went well. So I came into London before I was coaching professionally, and I met a really cute Swedish girl, and she was like 23, and I was like 22, 21, 22 or something. I came in, I said the exact same thing in the exact same way, and she smiled when I came up and said, "Hey." She was like, "Hey," and I said, "I want to put a baby in you." And she was like, "Why would you say something like that?" And like scorned me and walked away. And so again, it was more evidence that it's not personal. Right? It's a stupid thing to say. Don't go out and say that too much. I don't want to promote that kind of nonsense. But it was just evidence. One time it will go well, one time it won't. It's mad.
The point is, when you don't want it to work, it will work. When you want it to work, it won't work. I've done the same thing as well. When, you know, as a joke, we go up to girls and you have your hands behind your neck. When you're doing it as an exercise just because, you know, you want to f it up, they love it, right? They just want to talk to you. When you do it on purpose because you're like, oh, that works.
It worked.
Let me go and do it and see if that girl likes me.
Stops
working. And then they pick up your energy. It's mad. So it's not about, oh, you should use this opener, you should use the opener. That's the golden line. But it's more about the mindset of
It's very true.
You're going in because you want to get rejected, or you want to just have fun, right? And then
So true, man.
it's like some magic
So true.
that happens, and then she gets attracted to you.
There's a really interesting parallel to that, which again, I'll go back to the school years, but I remember there was this girl and no one thought she was attractive at the start. You know, she was just a normal girl, blended into the background. And she started, like, in 1 year, she became really attractive, right? She just started looking like, wait a second, she's just actually beautiful.
Yeah.
And she was really cute because she was still awkward from before where she wasn't attractive.
Yeah.
So she had these really sweet, like, humble, feminine mannerisms, right? After 3 months of the guys generally acknowledging that she was cute, she found out she was cute, and she started doing those same mannerisms, knowing that they were cute, and no one thought she was cute anymore, right?
Wow.
So it was really interesting because it's like you're not doing anything, and then suddenly people start recognizing you for something, and then you get cocky about that thing and you start forcing it, and then it no longer has the same effect. It's exactly what you were talking about, where you're doing this for naturally or as part of an exercise. You don't want it to go well, but then as soon as it goes well and you're like, hey, it's like, why are your hands behind your head, you douchebag?
Yeah. All right, so that's the funniest approach you've done.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most memorable approach that you've done?
It's interesting. I'm tempted to say it's the same one.
Yeah.
Because I never forgot that one. So I think that was the funniest and probably one of the most memorable ones as well.
All right, so let's change that question. What was the best in terms of, like, you really liked the girl and everything just went, you know, like I always remember that one when I did it to a Russian girl in Oxford Street, out of all places, like, which is probably the hardest place to build a great connection.
Yeah.
And I always remember it. Like, so is there one like that where it just went perfectly? Everything was just like, you know, exactly how you wanted it?
There's been loads like that. And usually it's like something situational. You know, I remember in the nightclubs, I learned this from Mystery. I watched Mystery's infields from the night. And I remember there was one where he goes up and he stands next to this girl and he just points something out. He's just like, is that a stag's head over there? And he's not even looking at her.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, yeah, I think so. He's like, interesting. This place is unusual, right? And he's not even talking to her. She's just like, she doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I remember going in to Aqua Bar on Oxford Street.
Oh, yeah, that one's good.
Long time ago. And I did the same thing. I was just like, okay, observe, what's going on here? Okay, there's a lemon tree in Aqua. There's a lemon tree there. I remember I went up to this girl at the bar and I was like, is that a lemon tree? And she kind of looked at me and looked over and didn't know if I was talking to her. She was like, yeah, that's a lemon tree. I was like, and over here, there's a painting from the Soviet Union on the wall. Lemon. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh yeah, that is weird. And started looking around, right? And completely, let's say game terms, like fell into the frame of like looking around and observing things. And those ones are really memorable, situational ones where you're not doing anything. You're not telling her she looks good. You're pulling her into to this world or to this mode. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty powerful. In the daytime, I remember doing the same thing. It was early again. I was the same age. Everything seems to happen when I was like 20, 21. But there was a girl in the train station, and I'd just been talking to this other girl, and I didn't want to see her again. So I came up to this beautiful Spanish girl who sat down, and I said, hey, I've got a random question, but I don't know what to say to this girl. I don't want to see her again, but I feel like she's getting invested. Like, what's a nice way to like let her go? And again, this girl was like, oh, let me see, and got really involved with it. And she was really attracted to me because on the psychological front, you're saying like, I've got interest from women and I don't even know how to get rid of them. But on the other hand, it's such a natural conversation. It's such a natural reason to talk to a pretty girl, right? Without telling them they're beautiful. And so it's showing so many qualities of attractive masculinity. Like, you probably have a good relationship with girlfriends, with your sister, with your mom. If you're able to come up to a stranger and just ask for their advice, assuming that they're cool and that they They know what's up. And so I remember these ones, these like situational openers most.
Oh, so they worked really well.
Yeah, they were they
That was
still are the best.
The one where you said, "Look at that one."
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
Bro, it's amazing how it works. It's amazing how easy that one works. Because again, it's like shows that you're just present and observant, and you're not trying anything. You're not trying to hit on her. You're not trying to do well. You're just pointing things out in this sort of calm yogi-like state.
Yeah,
and
that's funny.
So
man.
those are the best approaches, I think. The reason why all my videos are infields, direct approaches, is because what else can you do on camera? But we were just talking about this before we started filming.
Yeah.
The best approaches are the ones that aren't filmed. I would say that most of my infield videos are in the bottom 20% of all the interactions that I've had. Because we know there's a camera on us. And there's no escaping that. However well you act, it's just
and it's
not
forced,
real.
Isn't it? When you're doing an infield, because you're kind of like, all right, I got to get a good one now. I got to go out there, and then it's more forced than when you see a girl in the right situation, and then you go in, and everything is natural. Having said that, we caught Sam on camera. We did infield a couple of days ago, and he done an amazing approach in the casino floor where there was like a lot of flowers and so you get a lot of people coming in there, and he done a situational one. So he's going to be putting that on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, but even that one, thank you, and it was a good one.
Yeah.
Even that one, if I wasn't being filmed, it would have been completely different. It would have been so pure, man. Because this girl was.
You would have taken it into the mushroom house.
It would have just it would have been so pure. It would have been so beautiful. I almost think like just walking around with like a camera here where you forget about it would be the way to do it. Because even this interaction, I knew in the back of my mind, she's so fun, she's so spontaneous, this girl's such a good connection, but I know that this is for a video. I know that this is being filmed. However good I am at acting, it's a performance. And so anyway, that's not to say we have the best jobs in the world. It's not a complaint. It's just to tell you guys that don't get so sucked into it constantly having to be direct approach. Like if you see an opportunity, you observe something, like make the most of your surroundings. Look at what you can do. Figure out how you can like maneuver yourself into interesting situations without needing to just say, hey, you're really beautiful. Let's talk. So
I think something that you said in the speech a couple of weeks ago in the boot camp, you said situational is the best way to do an opener. If you can't do it, then do direct. From my experience, I can tell you that situational has always worked better. It's just more natural. Girls, they know that you've never said that before, right? And for them it's more romantic. It's like, oh, it just happened. Yeah, obviously if she's walking in the street, you can't do a situational. You have to have a structure of what to say, right? We've had amazing results doing that as well. But if you happen to be in a situation where you can use something, right? And what I've noticed is Sam and Dan, they're amazing at that, right? Especially guys that do a lot of night game. They're really good at coming up with situation. Whereas in day game, you can just say the same thing over and over again. You don't have to come up with new things, right? But it's great practice to get into this habit of thinking about, okay, what can I say here? You don't have to approach a stunner, by the way. You could practice on anyone. Right, that's what I've noticed with, again, both of you guys, is any person, you just be like, oh, so, strike up a conversation. Right, and that gets you, into that habit of being able to open in any situation, which is an amazing skill set.
The reason why it's also great to teach direct is because even though I believe that it's the best case scenario is that you don't tell her she's beautiful at the start. However, you can only pull off a good situational approach if you know that you could tell her she's beautiful, right? So it's the ability to say, as a man, if I see a beautiful woman, can I go and tell her she's beautiful? Yes, right? Now, you don't have to do that, but you need to know that you can. So you've got to learn to go direct for everything else to work, because for me, that's a fundamental question. When there's any of these conversations about, is it good to approach? Is it bad to approach? Is it red pill or black pill? Is it this or that? It's like, stop all of that. Let's go back to first principles. You're a man. You like women. if you see a beautiful woman, should you or should you not be able to go up and tell her that she's beautiful without fear, without being paralyzed by fear? And the answer to that is yes. There's no exceptions. Every straight man says yes. And if they say no, they're lying to themselves and they're in real trouble. So that's the fundamental thing. So direct is the way to learn, let's say. But once you know you can do that, you should be paying attention to your surroundings.
Yeah, that's so true. Because a lot of guys, they can go in, ask for, where Starbucks is. They can go in direct. But when they're about to show their intent, they're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, 100%.
That shit's scary.
100%.
So it's definitely a benefit of going out there and
practicing,
doing that.
expressing intent.
Because you're showing extreme confidence. Now, does that get you the stunners compared to situational or what we call semi-indirect? Probably not. But it's great practice to improve your self-confidence.
And it also can get you, it's not to say that beautiful women, like, they're not going to like you if you tell them they look beautiful. It will work as well. It's just so much more unique and spontaneous and flowing. Yeah, there's a lot of them, bro. I can't even see them. Situational is the key. It's the one that you wait for, right? But you can't choose that it's going to be situational. If there's a girl walking down the street in pale jeans and a white top, and she's walking fast, and nothing particularly stands out about her, you're not going to run in front of her and say, "Hey, is that a street light?" Because you will look like a crazy person. So the situation is direct there. Like, the situational approach to do is to explain where you've come from, right? Tell her, excuse me, I just saw you from over there. I was with my friend. I think you look beautiful today. I wanted to say hi, right? Or some iteration of that, because that is the situational approach. When the situation is just gives you no other option, then direct is situational.
Indirect is great. Yeah. Okay, good stuff. So, if you had to game in any location in the world, any country, you've obviously traveled to a lot of places.
Extensively.
Where would it be?
So there's a number of cities that I think are very good for different reasons. Rio, where I've lived for the longest time, I've been back and forth between London and Rio for the past 5 or 6 years. Rio is a mind-blowing place if you go for carnival. Less so now. In 2018, it was more so, I'd say. But Rio is mind-blowing because you just see everything, right? There's just perfectly formed women in bikinis, thousands of them together looking at you, right?
Wow.
Like giving you indicators of interest, right? It's pretty mind-blowing. And people are really social. So if you're an awkward guy, it's either going to be the best thing in your life because it's going to get you out of your shell and you're going to be so much more confident. Or if you're not able to get out of your shell at all and you stay inside, it's going to be the most miserable experience of your life. So you have to know people. But Rio is definitely for guys that are stuck in this like Western European awkward, apologizing when someone stands on your foot. This kind of awkward, bumbling, stiff, rigid. Rio is the place to go to get out of that because you can't stay in that. It just doesn't work. You can spot like a fresh English guy a mile away, right? But he's like looking around like, sorry, do you speak English? Right? These guys are so obvious. So you kind of have to say, how are these guys moving? Okay, that guy's just chilled. They just walk around like this. And so you kind of adopt a little bit of a swagger and you learn a couple of words in Portuguese, you smile more, you say hi to people, you're more open, you're more, expressive. So that's amazing. Rio's amazing. However, I think that the funnest, for me anyway, and this might be controversial, some guys might disagree, but for me, the funnest way to treat the process of communicating with women, the process of cold approach, let's say, is to think about it with an end in mind, right? And for me, even at a time where I said, I'm never going to be in a relationship, I never want a family, never want to get married, none of this stuff, there was still like a girl in my mind that I was moving towards, There was still an idea, and Zan calls it the alabaster girl. Zan Perion has the alabaster girl as that image of perfect femininity that moves you to take action, right? And so I think that for most guys in most parts of the world, like having a partner, having like a woman that they just love and they get on with, and she's beautiful and she's down to earth and she supports them, like I think most guys are driven by that.
Yeah.
However much we want to deny it, not everyone, but most guys want one amazing woman, right? And so I think that's the funnest way. And if you're looking for one special woman, I'd argue that Rio isn't the best place in the world. It is a very, very promiscuous culture, which comes with the fun, social, expressive. But also on the other side is that it's very normal for casual hookups and slightly superficial qualities. You know, is he hot? Is he good looking? Is it beautiful people? Is it a beautiful place? Whereas if you go to Eastern Europe, for example, Warsaw is a really good place. There are a lot of pickup artists in Warsaw.
Oh yeah, it's gone mad isn't it?
There's a lot of pickup artists.
Like
in
everyone
Warsaw.
I know is there now.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, and I'm saying pickup artists. I don't mean it in a derogatory way at all. I just mean there's a lot of guys that are there to pick up as many women as possible in a shorter space of time. And so it's a kind of weird vibe, but it hasn't ruined it.
No.
Right? Like the women are still really cool, really receptive. You can still date
That's
amazing
why
women.
I was surprised because a few of my clients went there and they were like, we just see guys approaching everywhere.
Yeah.
But
a lot.
everyone gets dates.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's
you
the
know,
thing.
everyone's happy, but at the same time, everyone's there.
For sure. Some places are ruined by it. Some places it's almost like the girls are like, oh, great, finally some guys are talking to us.
Yeah.
So Warsaw, despite that, is a really good place for beginners to go because it's sort of Western and sort of Eastern. It's a nice balance between the two. It's not like Soviet, Russian culture shock, but it's not like Western European McDonald's eating, blue head. It's got Western elements, it's progressive and it's liberal, but it's also got some traditional values, and the women are, look after themselves and are very sweet. So I think Warsaw's a really good place. So we've got Rio, Warsaw, and I spent a lot of time in both of those. Minsk, Belarus was an amazing place, but absolutely not for pickup. It's absolutely like go there if you are looking for a partner, if you want to meet a really beautiful, amazing woman, and like you'd be open to just meeting someone, spending some time there, and then flying her back to wherever you want to go and starting a family. Minsk is probably a really good place to do that. So it depends what you're looking for ultimately. The best city to go to depends on what your goals are. It depends on what kind of women you like. It depends what kind of situation you're looking for. But I believe that most guys need to go through the sexual frivolousness, right? Young guys specifically. You need to know that you can have many women. You need to experience some of that. And but ultimately, I think at the end of it all, we're driven by the idea of the perfect girl. I think that's what drives a lot of masculine
you learned
behavior.
most of this in London.
I learned
Nottingham and London.
I learned Nottingham and London the majority, but Rio offered a lot as well. Rio offered a lot.
Because a lot of the best guys I've noticed either come from London or like places like New York, where it's just, constant volume of girls that they can talk to. Because it's all about volume at the end of the day. It's like in the gym. If you don't have weights in the gym, well, you're not going to get big.
Yeah.
Right? So one big factor is volume. And Warsaw and Rio, both, I've never been to both, funny enough. I have been into Poland, but not to Warsaw or Rio. But I've heard great things about it.
Yeah.
That,
all of Poland. Krakow is amazing as well.
Yeah, I've been to Krakow.
Wrocław is pretty cool as well. So
yeah, I love that Wrocław.
Yeah.
I never know how to pronounce it because it's like you have like
Wrocław.
different.
It
Yeah,
says
I say
Wrocław,
Wrocław,
I think
and
they
the people
pronounce
there
it
are like, what?
Wrocław.
Wrocław.
Yeah. Wrocław.
That place was amazing. But I think it's not, the volume wasn't there. Poznan wasn't that great. I was there. The volume wasn't that good. So probably Warsaw is the best bet.
Yeah, Warsaw's just a safe bet, especially if
Yeah.
it's your first place. It's a really safe bet because you're going to get opportunities.
Yeah.
They're not going to be too harsh, and it's not a complete culture shock. Rio is a 100% culture shock.
And I think when you're starting out, or even you're still in that learning stages, like you're in the middle of your development, having people there is actually better than not having anyone there, because you meet wings, right? You're probably not going to get crazy results anyway. Yeah, if you're advanced, then go to somewhere that's there's no one there.
Yeah,
that you just clean up, right? But if you're learning, I would rather go somewhere where there's guys actively gaming, so that you can be around like-minded people. Because we were discussing this with Sam the other day in the Airbnb, where he was like, he's organizing this month training in Bali, or is it like some business slash
Yeah, it's just a
business
like
slash dating
a growth month, right?
growth
So
month?
you've got your meditation, you've got your gym, you've got your work blocked out in time blocks, 90-minute blocks. You know exactly what you're going to do. You're eating clean organic food, and in the evenings you're going out and networking with the entrepreneurs. It's like your full wealth, health, life balance, like established for you, fixed routine with a group of like-minded guys.
Yeah. And I was like, I would love to do that
Yeah.
stuff, because one of the reasons, I got good was because I was around like-minded people. If I was doing it by myself, I would have been bored as
Yeah.
right?
Well, I don't know if I'd be here if I didn't have people in Nottingham.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'd get there eventually, but having just the two guys that, that I went out with to push me and hold me accountable, that was a game changer. So yeah, if you're a guy and you're trying to do this all by yourself, it makes absolutely no sense, right? And the anti-sales technique would be, first go through your friends list and find out if you've actually got any mates that you can go out with, if you've already got any friends before you get coaching, right? Respect if you want to just get a coach. I get it. I buy coaches in every area of my life. But I also try to do stuff by myself first. I use a coach when I realize that I've hit a point that I can't get past, and I know they can push me past. But some guys, they're like the business owner that starts outsourcing everything before they've started. It's like, no, do it all as well as you can, and then when you can't do any more, then you outsource. So when there's something that's taking too much time and you can't figure it out, then you outsource. And it's the same with this. Go out by yourself, try it, it's not going to work, right? It's going to be so slow, even if you're noticing the little wins, even if you're setting your target, being clear about what you want and making little progress, little successes forwards. It's going to be hard by yourself. It's going to be much easier if you've got someone to go out with.
Yeah.
When you go out with someone else, there'll come a point, possibly, where you're like, okay, I should really get a coach. It's going to massively speed things up. I'm going to get real accountability from someone that's been there before. But yeah, first of all, see what you can do without a coach before you get coaching. That's what I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things about having a coach is the shortcut to success. So, you can make a lot of money, but you can't make time. You can't get time back. So that's one of the reasons I have coaches in different fields as well, because I know that they're going to save me probably 10 times more than I would do it myself.
For sure.
So if I was going to do it in 10 years, they'll help me reach it in 1 year. All right, so just to finish off the video, what type of coaching would you say is the best to get results for the guys?
I would say that the same coaching that I needed and the same coaching that I used is the one that I teach. And so for me, it's the best, which is 12-week coaching. 12 weeks is enough time. It's a long enough time that you can make real progress. You can get consistency. You can week on week work on your obstacles, but it's a short enough time that you can imagine the outcome, right? So if you're doing it 10 years, it's like, it doesn't really matter then. 12 weeks is just like 12 individual weeks of progress. So it's short enough to imagine the end point and long enough to get real momentum and make progress. So I believe that 12-week coaching with strategy, data tracking, and an in-person component. So what are we going to do this week? What are we focusing on? What are going to be the potential obstacles? How are we going to focus on it? Where specifically are we going to time block the time into your schedule to figure it out? And then gathering the data from that week, going over it, and creating a new strategy for the following week based on what we've learned, plus an in-person professional to guide and help the guys out and push them forwards in person coaching, plus everything that comes with that, which is the network, right? So for me, I've got guys in Australia, loads of guys in Australia, Melbourne and Sydney coming to me at the moment. So I've got a network over there. So as soon as I get a new client, not only do I have a coach for them, but I have like 3 or 4 guys on their level who would appreciate them and who they can help and they can help them. So it's all of that in one.
Yeah, because I remember back in the day when I started, all the coaching was just like boot camp or like short period of time. No one was really offering these long weekly trainings. And what I noticed is when I did the boot camp, it was great. I learned so much, developed in that 2 days. I was shocked how much I learned. But then after 2 weeks, I was like, well, I've got more sticking points.
What now?
Well, what do I do now, right?
Sign up to another boot camp.
Yeah, exactly.
And hope they remember you from the last one.
Yeah. So that's actually what I did. I went back to my coach and got more training and more training and more training. So I kind of created, what you just said by myself. And I think the way the coaching industry is going now is everyone's realized that, not everyone, but the smart guys have realized, okay, it's the long-term training that gets the best results. Yeah, there are companies that are still doing the short-term stuff, and that's good too. It's a good experience. It's good to start off with. But as Sam said, if you want to get results, then it's long-term training that's going to help you, because you're going to get better, but guess what's going to happen? You're going to have another sticking point. And then when you go past that, there's another one, right? Then there's another one, until you get how many dates you want per week. And at that point, then obviously you're good.
It should be structured. You should be clear on what you're trying to achieve, clear on how that goal, tangible goal, 2 dates a week, that means that you're more confident, right? So you're saying, I don't care if I go on 2 or 1 dates a week. I just want to be better with girls. I get you. I hear you. But you need to put a metric to that, because otherwise, like we said before, you're going to get better with girls, and then better with girls are going to be up here, and then you're going to get there, and then it's going to be up there. So you need tangible metrics to say, okay, if I'm going on 2 dates a week, it requires that I'm a hell of a lot more confident than I am now. So we have to be able to have the intangible goals, growth, getting better, self-improvement, and the tangible goals. Okay, what does that mean? Meditating longer, getting bigger muscles in the gym, how many inches, right? You have to go into sort of autistic detail, focused detail on, on exactly what the goals are.
Yeah, and even if you want a girlfriend, because sometimes clients come to me like, Nav, I just want a girlfriend and I want her to be very attractive. Well, I'm like, bro, it's not going to be you just go on 1 date and you get a girlfriend. Yeah. You've got to go on lots of dates. So as Sam said, if you go on, 2 dates a week, and let's say you do that for, a few months, then you're going to find the girl that you really like, not just by going on 1 date and then it's like game over and that's it, you fall in love. But you've got to meet a lot of girls, and then eventually you'd get a girlfriend.
Yeah, you're going to be going on like 50 or 60 dates after that time. One of those should be the type of girl that you like by that time. So a lot of it's a numbers game, a lot of it's not a numbers game, a lot of it is purely like, are you doing good? And what the coaching will help you to do is get the numbers in, because we're time blocking them into your schedule, and we're problem solving why you might not be able to do it and how to resolve it if you find yourself with extra resistance. What are we going to do in that case? And then we figure it out ahead of time. So there's metrics, but also you're learning like actually how to improve the specific skills as well. So that's what I would say. But any coaching is better than none. Most coaches offer free consultations. I do, you do, and so just take advantage of that, right? If you're saying, I know, I still don't know, money, whatever, that's just an excuse, because the best coaches I know will offer free consultations. And so if you want to even find out if it's a possibility, you should take a free consultation, because it's free value. So that's the main thing. It's like,
I remember I wanted to get charisma training, and I got on a call with this girl who was doing voice training and charisma, and I wasn't sure at all about the coaching. I was very skeptical. I was like, okay, is this actually going to help me? Got on a call with her, and in 10 minutes she broke me down into so many different pieces. I was like, wow, I gotta fucking do this coaching. She was like, yeah, I can tell your accent's from London. I can tell that your communication skills is not as good as it should be, especially if you want to be helping guys to improve in their dating. Your communication skills needs to be on a different level, right? And the stuff she told me, I was like, I'm putting my money down, even if it's like 50k. I'm paying this.
But if she'd asked you to pay before she did it, you might say, no, I don't trust her, I don't know her, why would I pay her money if I don't know if she's going to deliver the results?
100%.
So take advantage of the free ones, right?
100%. Do the free call, see if the guy or the girl that's going to coach you is the right fit for you. If you guys match each other, that's really important. And then boom, watch what happens. You're going to get amazing results.
Watch this space.
So just to finish this off, if the guys want to find you, where should they be looking for you?
Fluid Social, FLUID social on YouTube and TikTok.
and
but mostly-
OnlyFans.
but mostly YouTube and not yet OnlyFans. Not yet OnlyFans, but
Coming soon to OnlyFans.
we're in a romantic
I'm on
setting,
there
bro.
already.
We might have to start a joint account anytime soon,
That's
bro.
right. We're in Vegas, so whatever happens in Vegas.
Yo,
All right. See you in
Thanks,
the
guys.
next video.
cheers, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. Cheers, bro.